hate doing that overall when you get a tickle right at the wrong time. Apologize for the coughing. Yeah. So we basically have a Petit Le Mans to go, 9 hours. We are 15 hours complete. It is 6 a.m. Central European time. The sun is up. Good morning, Le Mans.
Should be bonjour, Le Mans.
Bonjour, Le Mans. More fun to do it the way Adrian Cronauer used to do it on Armed Forces Radio Network.
Why do we think then? I always used to do the fastest lap of the car in the night, in the morning, in the honeymoon periods. Why do we think we've not seen any faster lap times from any of the classes, really?
I think now it starts to come in because there's a bit of light, and also you'll see everybody's on their double stint. This is one of the areas that's a little bit different. There's a restriction on the tyres as a TF sport car gets new brakes. There's such a restriction on the tyres that you're not able just to throw new tyres at it as you maybe did in the past. Hence the reason that we've heard people, yeah, you're going out on scrubs, you're taking left side onlys, and so your tyre options may not be quite as good as they used to be. However, I would have said if you are going to, it's between now and 7:30 when you'll actually start to get some quicker times coming in. I think in general the whole grid will definitely go quicker. If I look at the average times of the stints through the night, then I would say the majority of the cases in the last sort of 30 minutes, they've been about a second a lap faster than the previous stints where it has been completely and utterly dark. Now, it's not just due to the darkness, it's also due to, you know, tyre and various other factors, but clarity of being able to spot the apexes and things certainly does help. Don't think they'll be spotting anything apart from the inside of their eyelids for a little while. Just trying to rest when they can.
Just testing them for cracks.
Yep.
That's all they're doing.
All the mechanics have a earpiece in their ear, so they suddenly get woken up every so often with the chatter on the radio.
There's the numbers, the remaining Corvette in front of our race leader. Jan Magnussen behind the wheel of that car as they go through Arnage. And look at the punch of that hybrid drive kicking in and sending Lopez on his way towards the Porsche curves, flat out.
Sending Lopez on his way, but just into Indianapolis, we saw very briefly that Lopez had actually just overtaken Nick de Vries in the Racing Team Netherlands LMP2 car. Now that's someone doing some very quick time since he's got in. He's been electrically quick in that car right from the word go. And considering this is his first Le Mans, I've got to say he's got on with it very well. He's done various sports car races in WEC up until now, and clearly very competent single-seater driver without any question, fighting for the F2 Championship, the feeder series to Formula 1. But he's got on with this one, and he's now the quickest guy on the circuit in LMP2.
Yeah, Nick de Vries, obviously a McLaren junior up until recently.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good guy, very fast driver, currently leading the championship, as Alan said. And it's always impressive to see a youngster come in. I think Nick's, what, 21 years old, and doing a great job. And he was fast yesterday, all day yesterday, and through the night.
We saw Ryan Cullen bring the number 32 United Autosports car into the pits earlier, and now that pit stop is under investigation. That was, of course, after the spin. I don't think it was Ryan that brought the car in.
It's Alex Brundle that was in the car, and they've switched across to Cullen now.
Yep. They switched to Cullen, but the car's pit stop is under investigation.
Wonder if that's because we saw left rear wheel was off the car as they got dragged into the pit box, if there was something related to that.
No, I think when he stopped, they put some fuel in it, and I think they just took that one wheel off to have a look.
Yeah, I would.
Whilst it was being fueled.
Yeah.
Matt Campbell and Thomas Prenning.
Two youngsters, of course. Matt Campbell winning Bathurst with a do-or-die move on young Jake Dennis in the ARM Motorsport Aston Martin earlier in the year. And then another youngster, Porsche Junior, Tommy Branning, doing a great job for Gulf Racing. He's a quick young lad who is also a Porsche Junior, currently in 8th place.
Yep, that's the battle for 7th and 8th, and now 6th and 7th, as the car guy, number 57, was just passed by Campbell. So that's a 3-car battle for position, as now Prenning is trying to tee up the car guy car, but he's got to wait for the number 66 Ford of Billy Johnson to clear before he can make his move on the Ferrari number 57.
I think Tommy will be passed pretty quickly. That's the arm in the car, isn't it? He's
yes.
Tommy's
Kimura, yeah.
Tommy's currently going some 13 seconds a lap quicker.
Kimura picks up the tow from Prenning as they head down the Mulsanne straightaway. The flashing lights of the car that's going to catch that duo here shortly. See who that is. It's another of the GT cars, probably a GT Pro car. No, that's actually looks like the Kessel Racing number 83 is what it looked like. Michelle Gatting behind the wheel of that car.
In a couple of laps, we're going to have the GT Pro leader, James Calado, who's still 20 seconds ahead of Richard Leitz coming into the pits. He's done 13 laps. So at the end of this one, I suspect that the GT Pro is going to be in the pits.
And Gatting is, in fact, catching the car guy entry. So she'll be able to get a lap back from that car, at least. Not a battle for position.
Lopez in the 7 Toyota, pulling away slightly from Fernando. A minute and 4 seconds now.
Here is the disc change. Looks like he's having some trouble getting the 2 bolts off. You know, it's interesting. They made those quick changes in pit stop practice when those discs were nice and chill. Now they're very hot. The 92 car also in the pits.
92 in the pits, and Leitz has just done the fastest lap for his car. 3 minutes 50.660. Now the 51's back on its way, slightly delayed from that left front disc change, or the front disc change, but the left front sticking. And so now that has put him down to 4th place. So it's Leitz, Magnussen, Tandy, Calado. However, we are owed stops by the others. Leitz has got, he'll be in this lap. Magnussen's got a couple more laps to go. And Tandy as well will be in on this lap.
This is the old fast in and fast out laps. Trying to do the undercut.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a heck of a fast lap for Leitz to be able to do it. It just depends how much Calado is actually lost due to the sort of waiting with the disc. It's not too much when I look at it quickly. It's a 1 minute 12 pit stop.
Phenomenal, that. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, obviously really clever engineering, isn't it, from the engineers to come up with these things that are so quickly changed. But I mean, it's not really affected his pit stop time at all, really. It adds mere seconds. And interesting to see that those discs have gone 15 hours, which is quite good. With 8 hours to go, it gives him a good brake system, braking power for the last 8 hours.
On board with Richard Leitz, being chased by Jan Magnussen. 22-second gap there.
Fuel alarm was on.
Fuel alarm on, Leitz. suspected. He'll be popping into the pits. He's done 13 laps. This is his 14th lap. 14 lap stints are the norm. So the crew will be down there in the pit lane. Duncan Vincent at the ready, I'm sure.
Always a nice feeling for a driver in the last sort of couple of laps of a stint. The fuel's come down, the car just feels
Lightens
that
off.
bit lighter and more nimble, and you definitely go quicker in a straight line.
Yeah. Oh, you accelerate, especially out of Arnage down to Porsche. You can see your delta time, which gives you to your best, and it's just more matching. Whereas when you're full tanks, even if it's just literally come in full tanks and back out, then it's so sluggish and lethargic. It's so frustrating, but you just got to sort of ride it through until the point where in 14 laps later, you're back in the same place.
It's all relative, gentlemen. It's all relative. You were talking earlier about white knuckle ride for some of these gentlemen drivers, and you guys are talking about it being lethargic. 91 car comes to the pits. Let's see, that will put the 63 car into the lead, just 22 seconds behind, so he'll be able to take over the top spot briefly until it's his turn to make it to the pits, he being Jan Magnussen.
He's got a couple of laps. Jan, they're out of sequence slightly.
Comes to a stop.
A lot of brake dust coming off there. That's because they're doing a brake change on the front.
Yep. Everybody doing their front discs. Goes the old disc off. There goes Magnussen on the run to the Dunlop chicane. Flick left, then right, under the iconic bridge, and then down the hill. This brake pad change, disc change rather, seems like it's taking a little bit longer than perhaps we saw on the Ferrari. Interesting to see what his time is for his pit stop.
Both Porsches and also now the Ford of Westbrook is in the pits. So the Brumos Porsche in the background. Then you see Westbrook just stopping as the Porsche 91, which was leading with Leitz, is now back out onto track. Yeah, it's 12 seconds longer than the Ferrari.
Yep.
So that gap will have gone out to nearly 30 seconds. A bit of red tank tape that's holding together the Dragon speed. Now that car's in 4th place now as it's came into the pits. Anthony Davidson's at the wheel. They've been very quick and competitive pretty much all through this race. But the tape on the left-hand side in front of the WEC sticker, that's either better to be not there, never mind just sort of flapping around like that. I wouldn't say the car was designed in the wind tunnel with that tape attached.
Indeed not, indeed not. But that car has been one of the top 5 all day. The top 5 has been fairly consistent. G-Drive, Signatech, 2 Jackie Chan cars, now down to 1, the 38th, the remaining car, Dragon Speed 31, and TDS Racing number 28. So those 5 have been the top 5 most of the day. Close racing, but they've stayed in the top 5.
Yeah, I think everybody else has sort of bounced in and out more than necessarily been static into that top 5. So here we see this is one of the 3 Ligiers in the category.
The other 2 being the United Autosports, number 22 and 32.
Correct, and then we've got the Inter Europol as well in Labra competition.
That's right. Getting ready to release him as soon as the fuel is disengaged, and away he goes. Let's go down to Duncan with Alex Brundle.
Morning, Alex. First of all, quite a hairy moment out there. What happened?
I think we lost the left rear tyre on the way into karting to either a puncture or a failure. So yeah, that's not great. Managed to catch the car and get it back to the pits, but not the ideal scenario at one of the fastest, most loaded places in the circuit.
Yeah, that's surely going to grab your attention. But why is the pit stop now being investigated?
I'm not sure on that one, to be honest. I've just focused on getting out of the car and reporting back to the engineers what happened. I'm not sure why we're under investigation right now.
Yeah, possible bit of speed, and you never know with the wheel speed sensor maybe being off on 3 wheels. But yeah, you know, the car had an alternator fitted through the net as well.
Normally they would say pit speed under investigation if it was speeding, so it would probably be something that happened within the lines of the box. Yeah, we replaced an alternator earlier on. It's just been a nightmare race for us, but we'll push on. Anything can happen, but yeah. Really hairy moment, and yeah, and a nightmare race for us.
Yeah, I can see it in your face as you're walking through. It's not a place you really want to go missing, but thank you very much for your time, and best luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks.
There we see on the screen a Ford intra-squad battle as the number 68 car of Joey Hand gets by Richard Westbrook, who's on his out lap, all in and amongst the number 81 BMW, with Philip Enga behind the wheel of that car. Enga in 13th position in the class.
Richard Westbrook will want that BMW out the way.
Yeah, and he's just...
The problem is the BMW is quite quick in a straight line, so actually it's a bit frustrating for drivers because you have to make this sort of lunge from quite far back to get by them. Clearly the Fords are the quicker car today, but when a car has a slight power advantage or straight line speed advantage, let's say, it can be slightly frustrating.
And then Westy just got boxed in by that LMP2 car, who's trying to make it through this battle. That's the number 47 car, which is 11th in class.
Yeah,
Maliki behind the wheel of that car.
I think Enga's not 100% sure, or he's certainly, yeah. I would suspect his team should be telling him that this is actually a battle for position that he's now getting involved in, because you know, he's several laps behind the two Fords. He's 4 or 5 laps behind.
Yeah,
and so he should be getting the information. Oh my goodness,
yeah,
Westbrook's been just massively held up. He's lost about 6 or 7 seconds with this traffic.
Yeah. Every time he...
Oh, no, he's late. Coming into there, there's a big bit of frustration now for Westbrook.
He'll be having some choice words on the radio, I suspect.
5 seconds he lost. He hasn't even been able to get past the car guy, who's now crossed his nose, and he's just going to have to lunge it down the inside.
Yeah,
there's no question. Oh,
good Lord. That's twice he's cut corners and stayed ahead.
Yeah, who's in this?
Who is this?
57, Kimura.
Yeah, and he's the AM in that car, and now he finally clears out of the way.
Now, it's very easy to blame the driver. It's very, very simple to say he should have done X, Y, Z. I think there is a certain obligation on the team as well to inform and assist the driver of who's coming up, what is actually happening in and around them, so that they can get on with their race, because it's a very different type of race for Kimura and Kargai. You know, they've got a 20-second gap to the next car ahead, which is Hankey in the TF Sport, and then from there there's battles up. But to get there, they need to be in a position where they're not getting involved in silly incidents in races that they're not actually involved in.
Fernando Alonso brings the number 8 car in. That will be a driver change.
Nakajima at the wheel. Yeah, I mean, Westy was sensible then, because it's so easy to give them a tap as a driver when you're that get out of my way. But he was quite calm actually. He did show his nose a few times, but he avoided the contact.
I would have loved to have heard what he was saying inside his helmet, because I do not believe, Jamie, he was calm in there. No, I remember ranting and raving and Sebring on the radio, and my engineer telling me, Alan, keep calm, and I shouted back, I am calm. There's no way I was calm. I know you can't believe me about it. I got hot under the collar.
Yeah.
But Alan's right. The team, you know, sometimes they're not actually always watching, you know, but it was clearly on the TV screen. And for the AMs in that situation, I always used to, because I've driven with some AMs, and I always used to say to them, you just lose more time by getting in their way, you're much better off. Just brake 20 meters earlier, they'll fly by you and then hook up behind them and try to learn off them and follow them. Instead of this, what the guy went off 2 or 3 times, cut the chicane here, he picks up a load of rubbish on his tyres, and actually all that happens is he just loses a massive amount of time.
And there's the 63 car having made its pit stop, dropping down to 2nd place in the GTE Pro category.
I think dropping down to 3rd as well, because if I saw a Porsche flying past, Leeds just flew past there as well. So back to 3rd. Currently 4th place, Harry Tinknell's just come into the pits, dragged the Ford up into 4th, but he owes us a stop.
Arjun Maini in the RLR car, currently in 14th, lighting up the screens with 2 of its best sectors in sector 1 and 2.
Yeah, talking about best sectors, that was a very quick stint for Tinknell in the Ford. However, if I look at the average lap times at the moment, then it's the Ferrari and the Porsche. So it is Collado and Leeds that have got the pace advantage over everybody else.
Leeds, I mean, their pit stop is some 20 seconds longer than Tinknell's.
Disc change.
Was it disc?
Yeah.
On the Porsche,
Yeah, and they struggled a little bit with...
Yes, that's
front.
right.
Yep, wouldn't come off.
That was the Ferrari that wouldn't come off, and their one was just generally slower.
That's right.
The Ferrari 51 of Collado, so left front disc. So coming back to just one thing to clarify, we saw that the left rear wheel was off Alex Brundle's car as it came in, and that was the reason.
But when he got going, the wheel was on.
Yeah, we saw it from a frontal. Remember, we saw the front.
No, we saw him go through the gravel sideways,
and then
spun, and then rejoin the track. And as he drove away, the left rear wheel was on.
Was it? Okay.
Actually, we'll look back to see how long it was since pit stop as well.
There is the 30 car, the Duquesne Engineering car with Romain Dumas behind the wheel.
Or did he say he lost the tyre?
No, he said wheel.
Wheel, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the wheel was on. It might, it might be in the tyre.
Yeah, I could see the brake disc.
I mean, from a driver, you don't really know. If you lose a tyre or the wheel, it's sort of like the same, feels the same.
Okay, Alex had been doing his 10-lap stints and then did a 5-lap, a 1-lap, and then switched over to Cullen. So I think it was an out-lap on that car.
Okay.
There's your 38 car out of 3rd position in the class. Raquelme stays, he may stay behind the wheel. We'll see when he comes out. Yeah, Van Oyter is going to stay behind the wheel of the G-Drive Aurus.
That was Van Oyter's first stint in the car. So this run, anyway.
Down and away.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Is he 20 years old?
Yes. I think so, yeah.
So I'd already won Le Mans before he was even thought of. Which then tells me I'm very old.
Wow. I thought I was the only guy that happens to.
On board with the 7 into the box for Jose Maria Lopez. He's been pretty quick, actually. Stretched his lead out on Nakajima now at the wheel of the 8 car to 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Obviously, this pit stop will reduce that gap down.
Down to about a minute.
Yep. That's
kind of been what the norm has been. As he hits his marks, he'll stay in the car. Routine, a lot of cleaning the windshield, cleaning the light panels on the side, just general inspection. Sometimes they check brake temps, sometimes they check all kinds of different things. Lopez tightens his belts.
Yeah, they slightly come throughout the stint. It's just loosen off a bit, and you just give them a little tug to snug you down in the car. No tyres. Look at that. Fires out of the pit box.
How quickly that car pulls away.
Probably 0 to 60 kilometers an hour in literally less than a second.
Yep. And Nicolas Lapierre has brought the number 36 Signatec Alpine into the pits for another routine stop. out of second place in the class. These guys are far enough apart now that they're able to pit without swapping positions, which is unfortunate.
36, Nico Lapierre.
Out of the pits. And underway. Had a little bit longer pit stop for that car. 111 as opposed to 102 and 104 for the cars ahead and behind him, the 26 and 38.
Yeah, sometimes they lose a few seconds just due to...
Well, there was a driver change as Negrão is behind the wheel of that car now.
So they did
young
tires.
Brazilian, yep.
Yeah.
Did some tires and driver.
Normally, when you put your new driver in, he gets a new set or a fresh set.
Yep, fresh set of boots.
And you never want to do a double stint or a triple stint on someone else's tires. You always start with your tires. It's up to you to look after them. And if you damage them, that's your own fault.
Everything come out okay?
God, you were a tough teammate. That's all I can say. You were a tough teammate. I used to be kind to my tyres before I gave them to my teammates.
Yeah.
Just don't ask Tom Dindo like.
Yeah. I think there's a few lies coming out here.
Yeah, his lips are moving.
Yeah.
Impressive first sector from Richard Leitz in the Porsche. 35.5. Yeah, they're all starting to go a little bit quicker, aren't they? Definite daylight now in the sky.
Funny thing is, it's sector 1 where the blue times, because Paul de Resta in the first sector, which runs basically all the way to Tetra Rouge, and so through the Dunlop corner and then the S's, and that's the one that's just lit up for quickest for Paul de Resta and also for Richard Leitz on this particular lap. As Negrão dips down into Mulsanne, second place, 1 minute 41 behind Job van Uitert.
There you see the retirements on your screen. Yep. Looks like a splitter change happening now for the number 86 AM car. Let's check in with Duncan.
Yeah, you're on the money there, Jim. Absolutely. The splitters off just now come in and everything just seemed to come off in their hands. So there's obviously been damage out there. A lot of it was broken. They fueled the car up, took it back into the garage, and the new splitter is going on right now. There's a bit of a media frenzy around here. The driver change has also happened. And yeah, they're not far away from getting this one back out. Brand new tyres ready to go as well. Driver in the car. It's a quicker splitter change than I've seen in the past. So they've obviously got their... obviously got an easier way of doing it. The Ferrari one, I know, seems to take a day and an age.
Yeah, it looked like there was a big sort of white mark right down the centre of the splitter there, Duncan, which usually suggests running down the centre of a curb. And one place that can happen is at the exit of the S's. You come down through Dunlop, then the exit of the S's. And if you get on the belly of the car onto that curb, then it can do a heck of a lot of damage.
But, the 84 pit stop that we saw didn't exactly look as it was choreographed. It's that time of the race. You start to make mistakes, things get a little confused.
Yeah, that was the second place JMW Motorsport. Segal at the wheel, Ferrari second place in GTE-AM.
So that's Tommy Branning has been driving that car, young 20-year-old as well, I think. Obviously had a trip across a curb or something.
There's our leader in the GTE-AM category, Ben Keating. He's out for, this is the completion of his first stint of 3. He's getting a fresh set of boots. Meanwhile, at the 62 car, front brake disc change. The wheels go back on and he'll be back underway. Tony Vilander behind the wheel of that car still.
Talking about quick sectors, Paul de Resta has just done his car's quickest middle sector. So this could be, if he gets a clean run through Porsche and towards the end, it'll be a good one. As GTE-AM leader is on its way again.
Ben Keating back out on the racetrack. This is his second stint of 3, so this should get him pretty close to his drive time. At least it will become manageable for him later in the race with this triple stint.
Paul di Resta has got a nice clean run through Porsche curves. The only car he's got in front of him is the leading G-Drive car.
Yeah, we saw there the car guy, Ferrari, just having another trip across the Kimura at the wheel of the Dunlop chicane. Just cutting the corner.
Let's check back in with Duncan. He might be able to solve the mystery of what happened to the 86 splitter.
The 86 Gulf Racing car. Thomas, can you tell us exactly what happened out there?
Nothing, basically. We broke the splitter. Happened to the 77 car a few laps ago as well, unfortunately, and yeah, lost a lot of time, but we'll keep going, we'll keep fighting, and we'll see where we come out.
So it was a failure rather than an off-track excursion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously over the last 16 hours we had some issues like that, some driver mistakes as well, but in the end there was nothing where a splitter should break, so we have to analyze it, but I'm not sure what happened.
Okay, thank you.
You two have kids, right? You ever seen the little cartoon? Who broke it? Not me.
It was fine when I last touched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Andy Wallace saying to me, he sat me down, and it was my second Le Mans, and I did my first Le Mans and didn't do many laps because it was in the Lister Storm LMP1 car.
Yeah, well.
And Andy was a really good guy to obviously having won the race in '88 with Jaguar. He was the one that said the most important bit is to give the information on the radio to your engineer about anything that's happened. And he said it doesn't matter, because he said we all do it.
Right.
But he said just having that information so that the driver getting in, if it's me or you, and I will give you that same information, you're aware of it. And I think that's a really valuable lesson for any driver. Actually, honesty is the best thing. Whereas some of the young kids now, they're no, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything. And it really is. I think, you know, Nishi knows better than most that relationship that you have between your 3 teammates is ultimately really important.
And that's also fostered from management. I know Dr. Ulrich was always very much an advocate. In American sports, we'd call him a player's coach. He was always an advocate. Doug Feehan does the same thing at Corvette. Those drivers know that their job is not at jeopardy. They don't have to worry about beating their teammate. They just have to be pulling on the rope in the same direction as everybody else to keep their job. And that's and that is valuable beyond words, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. Ben Keating, though, just we saw they're going very wide in Indianapolis, right round the outside. He was taking the high line, definitely the high line, if you want to take an American expression on it. But now getting back into the rhythm, spotting the apexes.
We call that up in the gray area where the angels fear to tread.
It was quite high in gray for having a 3-lap lead over the next car in the category. So it comes to the end of the lap, though.
Yeah, another.
Yeah. Paul di Resta, 3:29.89, going very quickly at the moment. He's just done another personal best in Sector 2. I think that's 0.3 quicker than the last one.
Yeah. So di Resta smoking along at the moment. That's beautiful. Now it's getting to the point, because I've just popped outside, and you can feel a little bit of warmth coming in from the sun. Everybody, you get a little bit more energy as well, I think. I don't know about you, but I'm waking up now again, and you can sort of see there's still 8.5 hours to go, so there's still a heck of a long way to go. A lot of kilometers still to run around here, but from that side you just get a little bit more feel and energy. For Collado, though, he'll be thinking, crikey, I wish there was only 24 minutes, not 8 hours and 24 minutes, because he's only got a 30-second lead over Leeds. And then directly behind 7 seconds is Magnussen. So Magnussen has actually started to wind it up a little bit. In the previous two stints, it's been Collado and Leitz that have had the advantage, the performance advantage, but on this one, Magnussen's been able to hold them to task right now.
Going through the Porsche curves with the sun in your eyes, that's got to be a bit of an adventure.
Certainly is. Just to tell you what they're like, Collado 3:52.8, Leitz 3:52.9, Magnussen 3:52.9 for the last few laps since their previous pit stop. However, Patrick Pilet in fourth, he is 17 seconds behind Magnussen, 3:52.3 average.
Yeah, so slightly quicker for the Porsche, but pretty close, all of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing.
but then again,
them.
they've been close since Le Mans last year.
Yeah.
They're just on big bungee cords. Where
Well, I
they
just say, when the transporters leave, are they line astern as well?
Yeah, they're fighting for position at the ferry terminals.
On board with the number 67.
Yeah, Tinknell in this car. He's into his second stint. Took over from Andy Prio. Jonathan Bomarito. Bomber was in the car prior to that through the night.
Richard Westbrook behind him in the number 69 car. He seems to be closing in a little bit after that frustrating time that he, at least visually, I don't think he necessarily is closed in. I wasn't sure what the gap was. He lost the full 5 seconds due to lap traffic that just, trouble for the 86. He's thrown a lot of gravel onto the racetrack. That's at the exit of Indianapolis on driver's right.
Yeah, that's Wainwright in the car, Michael Wainwright. It's a bit of an odd place to end up. I'm not quite sure how he's done that. I think he's pirouetted around, gone wide, high, and pirouetted around. But this is where you've got to be careful. Here we see a oh, no, he's done even more than that. He's hit the barrier.
Yep, and then thrown a lot of gravel out of the racetrack.
I mean, we just saw that car in the pit lane having
That's the 60 car. That's the Pianezzola. That's the second of the Kessel Racing cars.
That's entry to Porsche.
He's gone way off.
Way, way off. It's the second car in line here. Just lost the rear as he's turned in. That's a quick off there. A slightly odd one, Jamie, from my point of view.
He wasn't on the line though, was he? He was middle of the road when he turned in. He should have been more to the left, but yeah, Mike Wainwright, the Golf Porsche as well. He must have been on his first lap, because we just saw that car getting repaired in the garage.
15 seconds now to a full course yellow. This will be a virtual yellow. The 69 car being wheeled back into the garage area. Just saw that in the background as Richard Westbrook brought the 69 car into the pits. Here's the second place car in the AM category, the Project One Porsche. These guys are the winningest Porsche team ever. So there's the 69 in the box.
People taking the opportunity to do some work on their cars.
Yeah, West, he's only done 5 laps since his last pit stop, 6 laps, sorry.
Let's check in with Duncan, who has Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, once again, Patrick, a good pit stop by the team there. We saw Matt get out, Julian's away in. A difficult Le Mans. We've gone from 3 cars down to 1 car, but the team still seem very much on it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a long way to go. I mean, you look at it, anything can happen. You just got to keep digging.
Yeah, everybody has their issues through up and down the pit lane, so we'll see what happens. 85 is very strong, and they've got quite a lead on the field right now, so we'll see. But, you know, we got to keep digging. Safety cars, if you catch the right one, you're okay. If you're not, it's terrible. It's become a really big part of the story in this race that we're all challenged with, certainly.
What are the drivers saying on feedback for the car? Is it good? Balance feel fine?
You know, Matt just got out of the car. We have some issues, but everybody at this point has some issues. We'll keep going. We'll keep pushing. You know, that's what it's about. You know, it's great. It's great. It's challenging, and it really forces you to just keep on staying positive and not give up.
Yeah, we're into a happy hour as well, so the times are going to get really fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot that's going to go down before this thing ends.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Patrick Dempsey getting the Spirit of Le Mans award from the organizers this year. When you have that much gravel on the racetrack and you go through with your hot tires, you're obviously picking that up. How, especially under a full course yellow like this, how long does it take to rid that from your boots?
Yeah, it's not ideal. It takes a few corners, actually. It's that they're big bits of gravel there, and there's a lot of it, and right on the exit, or all the way across the track, isn't it? Then, of course, you add in the fact that you go across it with the hot tyre, so they will stick to it, and then you spend 4 laps under a full course yellow. So even more difficult, and it can actually, sometimes you can not recover. The tyre doesn't recover for some reason after a full course yellow like this. You were in a rhythm, you had a good grip, and you were pushing on, and then a little
It doesn't like the heat cycle.
It doesn't like it, yeah. Sometimes it's okay. Not easy for the drivers.
Yeah. Richard Westbrook coming back out onto the racetrack in the number 69 car after being back in the garage area just briefly. He's shimmying back and forth. Almost looks like he's checking something out. Now, this could have been one of those situations where it was just easier to put it back in the box and have everybody work on it as opposed to just having 4 people over the wall.
Yeah, you're only allowed limited number in the pit lane. However, you're allowed an unlimited number of mechanics when you're back into the pit box itself. Talking about pit box itself, then we saw Alex Brundle in United Autosports as both cars that caused this full course yellow are now in unison back on their way, and the pit stop was being investigated for that car, and we questioned whether it was the left rear wheel. Well, it was actually because they took one of the front wheels off while refueling, or at the time of, and suspected that it could be from that. As Mike Wainwright now makes the long and slow trip back towards the pits.
We saw a Ferrari at the Porsche curves in the gravel, and a Porsche. And what you notice when they get picked up from this new pickup system that they all have, which is pretty much in the same place in the roof, what you notice was the Ferrari actually had the nose down when it got lifted up, and the Porsche is slightly the opposite.
Yep.
And interesting that, you know, 2 completely different cars with different weight distributions, yet they're using the same tyre. And that's where you get sometimes people complaining, especially actually these guys, because the tyres that they use are the same as the Toyotas, yet the Toyota is generating energy through the front tyres from the electric motors, and it's something that Rebellion guys and SMP guys struggle with to get the front tyre working. Weight distribution can have a huge effect on that, so it's interesting to see how the 2 different cars use their tyre, and that's why you see differences throughout the stint in performance. Sleeping bunnies.
Wakey, wakey,
Yeah.
rise and shine.
That's right.
I think they've
That's
been
an
there all night.
uncomfortable way to sleep. Oh, that's less uncomfortable.
Yeah, sun comes up. Now, this gentleman could be very happy at the end of the day, not only because Toyota Gazoo Racing are going to have a very strong chance, being 1 and 2 to win overall, but also whichever car is victorious in the World Championship, it will be the first time a Japanese driver has ever won an FIA World Drivers' Championship. And so, therefore, there is going to be history in the making in Japan. Something that I did announce to one of the Japanese gentlemen at Toyota, and which he wasn't aware of.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
A friend of ours from a long time ago.
Ah, okay.
He'll whichever one it is will return home to a hero's welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That'll be absolute superstars. They'll be superstars anyway because they've you know, won the World Championship generally as a team, but certainly from that. Now, the other thing that may happen with this car, because obviously it whacked the tyre wall as well, they'll have a good look around that right-hand side. Wainwright was wiggling the car just to see if there's anything obvious things through the steering feedback, but the mechanics should have a quick look at it. But clearly, it's only a scuff bodywork damage. Rock and roll on its way.
And the green flag is back out as our full course yellow has come to a conclusion with very little fanfare.
So who did that help when things shake out with pit stops and bits and pieces?
Well, scoring has gone a little insane because it's showing about 7 cars stopped on the racetrack, when in fact that is not the case. There you see our leader in LMP2 leading a train of more beauty sleep for you? Or?
Yeah, it's time to now go and have a little bit of a stretch and have a little walk, and I'm going to actually jump up and top it. Oh, there's a little bit of a lock-up for Van Uytert there. Coming into Dunlop, right front lock there. Normally it's the left front, but he just was a little bit lateral load onto the left as he was turning before flicking it through. Oh, my goodness.
That's the 31 car.
Pastor Maldonado.
Yeah, pushing his way past the number 66 of Olivier Pla. Olivier has had a rough race. He's had a couple of incidents so far.
Yeah, unusual for him, actually.
Yes.
He's normally so good, and we've seen him in the walls a bit, haven't we? Yeah, slightly out of sorts. Doesn't seem to be on the pace of his teammates for some reason.
And very quietly climbing into the top 10 is the Ricci Competizione number 89. That car was kind of nowhere in qualifying. The team has struggled to come to grips with that car, but with a great driver lineup and some consistency, they have now climbed into the top 10 and are that's Beppo Durrani behind the wheel of that car, and he is giving Olivier Pla all he can handle at this point, going for 9th place. That's a fantastic run for that team. It's a team that's used to being very competitive here, so I'm sure they were very frustrated. Durrani sharing that car with Jules Gounon and Oliver Jarvis. So Gounon, a very quick up-and-coming driver. Durrani, who's one of the probably more underrated drivers in the field, has really been putting on a show in the United States in the DPI cars. And then, of course, Oliver Jarvis, he late of Audi and that sort of factory drive, so he certainly can pedal. Save me some bacon. There's the number 3 car back into the pits. Going to be a driver change. Thomas Laurent pumping out. Let's see who'll be getting in there. Looked like that was Nathaniel Berthon probably getting in. We'll get confirmation of that in a moment when the car hits the timing line.
James Collado out the pit lane.
If my helmet recognition works. Collado making a pit stop, dropping down to 4th position, as has kind of been the regular happening as they cycle through the pit stops. Interesting battle though for 9th position. As the Ferrari with Durrani.
This is Collado's 3rd stint. He's done 2 stints so far. First one of 14 laps, second one of 9 laps, and he's just left the pit lane and stayed in the car, it looks like. So going for a 3rd stint. I'm not sure. Maybe Dunn could have a little look to see if he's on the third stint of the tyre.
We're getting to the side of Michael. Yeah, copy.
I'm glad he did.
I didn't quite catch what he said.
Neither did I. That's why I was glad the crew chief copied it, because we certainly didn't.
I don't think Olivier's a happy bunny at the moment.
No, I don't think so either. Durrani seems to be a little bit quicker here in this first sector. He's able to close in, but then on the high-speed sections, the Ford seems to have the grunt to pull away a little bit. Durrani's even closer now as he comes down through the S's and they head to Tetrouge than he was last time.
You can see the speed difference here on the screen. 240 fifth gear, 255, 60.
Yep, there he goes.
And what you'll see now is the Durrani car should start to catch up with the speed and overtake it. There you go, 280. Oh no.
Yeah.
So the Ford looks a little bit quicker in a straight line, actually.
A little bit. See how they are in the braking. Both of them just touching 300 kilometers an hour.
The Olivier Pla car was getting a toe off the Ferrari.
Yeah.
So it should be the car normally behind is the quicker one, but yeah, Olivier's picking up a nice little toe. That helps him out. Punching the air.
Giving us time to digest that pensive look. Pla flashing his lights at the WeatherTech number 62, letting Tony Vilander know faster cars are approaching.
Patrick Pilet in the 93 Porsche, currently in third place, still catching Jan Magnussen and Richard Lietz ahead. He's got an average of a 352.2 after 8 laps, some 1 second faster than his Porsche teammate, and a good 8/10 quicker than Jan Magnussen. So he's obviously a happy bunny at the moment, feeling good in the car, pushing on, some 19 seconds behind Lietz and only 12 behind Jan Magnussen.
Durrani there with a definitive move on Vilander, going into the Mulsanne corner to make sure that Vilander kind of knew he was there. He got in there far enough and was able to. That was a pretty good move. Vilander, of course, is a consummate professional. Gave him enough room to operate without really losing any time on his own.
That's what we were talking about with Kimura earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the pros are so good. Okay, different class of car as well, like we saw earlier, and Tony's he's a winner here, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the key point, isn't it? To for all the AMs is sometimes they push the issue too much, and it's completely unnecessary.
That's right.
And they just lose themselves time. And Tony's there. He's maybe just braked 20 meters earlier.
That's right.
And all that happens is you lose in that braking zone a 1/10 or 2, 1 or 2 tenths, and you don't lose anything else.
Right.
He's kept his tyres clean. There's no drama. There's no risk, and you just let the quicker cars go. And sometimes they always say the faster car needs to find the way past. It's true.
Yes.
You know, that is true. But a little bit of help from the car in front can go a long way to negating any lap time loss for yourself.
That's exactly right. And also, it allows you to maybe not to keep a proper line on the corner. So therefore, maybe that 10th that you lose, you can make up a little bit.
Yeah.
Here comes the Dragon Speed number 31, Pasto Maldonado behind the wheel of that car, in for another pit stop. We saw Maldonado kind of give Olivier Pla a bit of a start a couple laps ago as he was lapping him. Maldonado comes in, 1 minute, 6 second pit stop. So leaders cycling through. Now, the AF Corsa car this time around pitted a lot earlier than the other top 4 cars. last time through, as I recall, it was 1 lap later that the 91 car pitted, or 2 laps max, and I think it's been longer than that this time around.
Yeah, well, there were some differences. 2 stints ago, they all did 14 laps. Richard Leitz, Jan Magnussen, Nick Tandy, and James Collado. This last stop, or the stop before James Collado's one, he only did 9 laps. Pile did 9, Leitz did 9, and Jan Magnussen did 7. I don't know why Magnussen only did 7. James Collado is not on a 3rd stint, as I was asking. He's on. He did 2 stints, and
Sarah is behind
we
the
can
wheel.
see Sarah behind the wheel now. But the man on the move is still Patrick Pile. He's very fast at the moment. His average is very good, and he's definitely catching them.
Yeah, last time around, 2 seconds quicker than Leitz, or a second half quicker than Leitz, and about half a second quicker, 0.6 of a second quicker than Magnussen.
Yeah, of course, Leitz on coming up for 24 laps in the car. Patrick is on only his 9th lap, so probably Richard has
less tires.
Double stinted the tyre, so therefore you can see it. So it's around about anywhere between half a second to 1 second difference on the average, and that's the effect of the tyre having to do the 2nd stint. That's what you lose. You go out the pit lane, you get your new tyre for the 1st stint. The car feels great as the fuel comes down. Then you make your pit stop, and you imagine we're nearly putting 90 kilos of fuel into the car, but the tyre stays the same, and you're like, ooh, this doesn't feel so good anymore. And that's part of the job of the pro to look after the tyre, get the maximum from it, and yeah, it's a tricky part of the job. And days gone by, we saw 4 or 5 stints from the Audis, I remember, which we still do occasionally see, although we haven't seen the Toyotas have to do it, because I don't think they've had any pressure.
Their only pressure has been internal pressure at this point.
Yes. A very good lap time from Gustavo Menezes in the Rebellion LMP1, currently in P3. He's just on a 3:19.7.
Wow.
To give you an idea, the 2 Toyotas are lapping in 3:23 and 3:26. So some 7 seconds quicker than Nakajima on that lap. That's quite a sizable difference. Menezes has been impressive in that car, hasn't he?
All weekend he's been.
All weekend, yeah.
Yep. Oh, there's a big move. The 66 car was side by side with the 86, and the 31 car with Maldonado behind the wheel just made a hard right to go by them both, 3 wide down the front straightaway, and now he's off and away.
This is the point now where the sun's just come up. You can see it lighting up the driver's eyes, and as you come up out of Dunlop there, the sun is directly ahead of you, just above the tree line, and it's pretty blinding, actually.
Yeah.
You get used to it, but everyone's been driving their road car when the sun's really low.
Sure, yeah.
And it's either in your mirror or it's in your face. And unfortunately, these cars don't have that little sun visor that you can put down.